Going on, y'all? This your boy Chris Sims coming to you with another podcast episode. Man, on this Thursday evening, I am doing really well today. As of today, now I was supposed to have a guest on uh, for this episode, but she did have something come up, so we will. I'm not going to have the guest on. I was very excited to have her. I was very hyped up for the show today, but unfortunately, she did have something come up, as we all do sometimes in life. She told me she had a family emergency. She told me this like really right before the show was about to start. And so I was like, dang, I was like, that's crazy, man, because I was hyped up. It's like, if I were to kind of, explain how I was feeling, man, it was like, when you about to get on an airplane, you know what I'm saying? You about to go on vacation, you did all the work to be able to get on the plane, you bought the tickets, you packed your bags, you thought out what you were gonna do the first day, the second day, and yada yada yada. You had all this planned out, but then the flight attendant tells you, or the people who come on the intercom and tell you that the flight has been canceled. So it was kind of like, man, like I was about to take off with my girl Denise. That was the guest name. I accidentally said the name because I was hoping to keep it a secret. But yeah, the guest that was gonna be on my show, I was ready to take off with her, and then all of a sudden the flight had to be canceled for the day, and we had to reschedule. So I was a little disappointed, but you know what? It is what it is. That's why you got to continue to move on and continue to make the necessary adjustments. So it's all good. We are on the mic right now. My week has been pretty good so far. Just been up here in Kent, taking care of my business, continuing to work on what God has in store for me in 2022. So I'm always working, constantly working on my goals and my dreams, and continuing to, live by my motto, going places. So, I'm very excited for the direction that God has for me, with this podcast and also just in my life in general. So I'm still working on that each day as we speak, and I'm really excited to get into today's episode. Um, because like I said, like I did have an original episode planned, but I had to come up with something else because I didn't want to. I was thinking about whether or not I should do the episode that I already had planned for today, but I was like, man, I want to save that for when my girl Denise gets on. So I just decided to come up with a different episode. Now, I almost didn't want to do one because, I was like, man, like it's Thursday. I was hoping to get I have the episode with Denise, get that recorded, put it out on Monday. But I was like, man, like, shoot, what do I do now? But, I feel like I've been able to come up with an episode for today. And because of Denise not being able to make it on, I kind of was sitting there. I'm like, man, what do I do? And I came up with a great topic for today's episode. And we're going to be talking about calling the audible. Okay. We're going to talk about calling the audible because that's what I had to do when things didn't go the way I had planned them. I had to call the audible. So what is an audible? An audible is basically a change. Like when you think of football, it's like making a change. If I were to basically put it in my own words, right? So for those of you who are football fans and watch football, right, you may watch the quarterback and he's making all these calls. You may supposedly hear him talking about red 42, green 57. Check Mike, check Mike. He'll be saying all this stuff that don't make any sense, to the people who's watching. But what he's doing is he's calling an audible, which means he's trying to change the play as the game when he's under the center, right? Before he's snapping the ball, a quarterback is reading the defense, right? And he's reading to see where is the defense lined up, right? Because the whole objective for the offense is to score the ball, right? And sometimes you got to be able to go where the defense is not, or where it's not at its strongest. That's why quarterbacks call audibles, because they want to throw the defense off. Because if they go right into the defense, they're going to get stopped. So the whole point of calling an audible on offense is so they can be able to throw the defense off and be able to get some yards or potentially score a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? And the same goes with the defense. Even the defense, they try to switch their defense based off how the offense is. So if the offense has, their best player on one side, they're going to try to adjust for that. They're going to try to hold that player accountable so he don't score. You know what I'm saying? So in football, there's a lot of audibles called because the whole objective is for the offense to score and the defense to stop. So why do I bring up this example? Is because in life, when you playing the game of life, you're gonna have to figure out how to adjust on the fly, because sometimes you may have stuff planned, right? You may have come up with the plan, you may have watched the film, like in football, you may have studied the film, you may have looked at all the X's and O's, but when it's come time to game time, there's going to be things that come up in your life where you're going to have to know how to make adjustments, because not everything is going to go in a easy, smooth direction, right? I look at myself today, like I had to call the audible. I had planned out what I wanted to say. I already knew like how I wanted the episode to go, but unfortunately, that's life. Sometimes life will throw you in a curve, and you'll have to know how to be able to realign yourself back on the path, right? See, sometimes we can make plans, but sometimes we don't always have control over the direction. And I'm talking about Proverbs 69. I'm referencing Proverbs 69, where it talks about how the heart of man plans his ways, but the Lord establishes his steps. Let me read that again. See, in Proverbs 69 says, the heart of man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. What does that mean? For those of you who are not familiar with that verse, I always tend to reference that verse nowadays because it's so true. Because if you ever, have been through life long enough to see that there are going to be times where there's going to be stuff happen that you don't prepare for. For example, we have one big example, which is the pandemic. The pandemic, nobody prepared for that. Nobody even thought that there was going to be a pandemic of that magnitude come to our country. And so people were scrambling. People were trying to figure out, what do I do? How do I feed my family? How do I get food to eat? How do I go here? How do I go there? There was a lot of people that were in panic when the pandemic hit, and people had no idea where the direction of their life was going. And see, sometimes that's what life can do. Life can throw you off like that, but you cannot let it throw you off path. Let me say that again. See, life is going to throw you off, but don't let the circumstance throw you off the path where you somewhere in a ditch. Come on, somebody. See, you need to learn how to take the wheel. See, sometimes you got to learn how to take your control back when stuff like that happens. Understand me? So, I mean, and there's more than just, it's not all negative. Sometimes, when we get thrown off in life, we tend to think of, negative things such as, the pandemic, maybe there was a family emergency, maybe you had an unexpected phone call. Sometimes, we think of negative, but sometimes, there'll be stuff in your life that is positive that may have thrown you off. But with anything, there's always pros and cons to each situation. So, for example, like a positive thing could be, okay, you may have got a promotion in your job. Okay, that's great. You've been wanting a promotion. You've been going to work. You haven't gotten a promotion. You've been thinking like, when is it going to be my time? And then you finally get called to get a promotion at your job, but unfortunately, you got to move out of the state that you in and move somewhere else. So that's when you look at it, it's positive because you're gonna be making more money. If you got a family, you may be able to have more financial opportunities to be able to provide for your family. But the con is that you got to move. You got to be able to move somewhere where maybe you're not comfortable with, because you've been comfortable in a situation to where you could just prop your feet up and not have to worry about going anywhere. See, in any audible, in any moment where something is changing, there's going to be a situation where you're going to have to be uncomfortable. You're going to have to learn how to be uncomfortable when it's time for God to call an audible in your life. Because not everything, because sometimes some things that may work in your favor may not work in somebody else's favor, right? So for example, going back to what I said, when it's time, when you get promoted, right? Look at it as, maybe like you get promoted and you get to make money. Okay, you make more money than you started with, right? That's one good thing that makes you feel good. But maybe to somebody else who was wanting that position, they may not feel good about it because they may have felt that they deserve that position, and so now it makes them uncomfortable. Or the fact that your boss is telling you, "Hey, we want to relocate you in order for you to have this promotion," that may make you feel uncomfortable as well, and it may make the other people feel uncomfortable as well, who maybe you grew up with. Maybe if you have kids, they had friends, maybe they got to go away from their friends. Maybe you were close to family, now you got to move away from family, right? There's always going to be some type of frustration, whether it's good or bad, but you got to learn to trust God in what he's doing, because even though it may not make sense, God knows exactly what he's doing. See, sometimes we try to rely on our own understanding when things happen in our life. We try to sit down and try so hard to assess what it is. We try so hard to be able to take control of things that are beyond our control. I noticed that as a people, we try to take control of so many things that we don't have control over. You know what I'm saying? And we spend our time in frustration because we just get so frustrated when things are out of our control. You see, another famous this is a very famous verse. Proverbs 3:5 and 6 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not unto your understanding." I think that's along the lines of it here. Let me go to the Bible so I can make sure I'm saying this right. I don't want to misquote it. So yeah, it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight." Let me say that again. He will make your path straight. See, sometimes when you question the ability of God, or you question the direction of God, and you try to make it happen on your own, you try to control something that God has already called you to do, but you try to resist God and try to say, "No, I don't want it to happen like that. I want to go my own way." Sometimes when you do that, you're going to go into it then, and maybe what you thought was good for yourself, God did not intend for that to happen. God did not intend for you to be comfortable with the way you were going. Sometimes God will allow you to go on a different path because he sees a better fit for you. So don't look at every situation as a negative. Don't think that, "Oh, God is trying to take something from me." Look at it as God may try to promote you into a situation, or God might put you in a situation where maybe you're not comfortable with. But what's going to happen is you're going to be able to elevate to a whole nother level. Come on, somebody. See, I can't help but reference my Achilles injury when I was going through that in 2020. See, that was what you call an adjustment. I had to, make it audible in my life because I was used to doing things one way, but then I had to learn how to do something another way. See, I was used to being able to get up in the morning, being able to stand on my 2 feet, being able to walk around and do things that I want to do, being able to get up and work out and be able to, do my exercises. But I had to make the audible because I only had literally one foot. The other foot was wrapped in the cast. So I had to change the way how I was able to get around. I had to change the way how I was able to work out. I had to change the way how I took a shower. I had to change the way how I was able to, get up the stairs. I had to change, the way just about how I went about it, because I couldn't do what I normally was used to doing because I was limited with one foot. But I had to look past that situation. I had to look past the pain and find the purpose in the pain as to why God allowed me to go through that situation of, just basically of that great magnitude, because it was painful. Like tearing an Achilles is painful. I wish that upon nobody, because when people reference stuff as their Achilles heel, when people refer to something as their weakness or maybe their Achilles heel, when they allude to that, I can attest. I exactly know what that means, because that's basically when somebody, when you have an Achilles injury, or when somebody gets you an Achilles heel, you pretty much out of commission. But you know what? I say that, I bring up that situation in my life because it led me to this path where I'm at right now. It led me to the path of being able to be an aspiring motivational speaker. That's the reason why I was able to write the book called Step Towards Your Purpose. That's why I'm doing this podcast right now. That's why I'm doing live sessions on Instagram, where it's not mainly about trying to show everybody like selfies of myself, or trying to show people my cars, my houses, trying to show everybody what I got. That's why I'm not doing that, nowadays, like I was back then when I had a personal account. I'm trying to help influence somebody, trying to help motivate somebody to find what their purpose is, because I understand that in your purpose is going to be painful. Come on, somebody. With purpose brings pain, but pain brings purpose. Come on, somebody. See, somebody need to hear this right now. I know I'm preaching on the mic right now, but this is what I do. See, I wouldn't have had this passion if I didn't go through what I went through. But if I didn't know how to make an audible in that situation, I'd still be stuck in that pain. And see, sometimes you got to understand how to make adjustments on the fly. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to navigate your way through the pain. And the way you navigate through your pain is to trust in God, but also have faith in God, because having faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. See, not having faith is something. In order to have faith, you must believe in what you cannot see. See, sometimes, when we look at, adjustments in our life, we look at what we can see. We look at what we see in the now, right? When we get, when we talked about, when I mentioned the pandemic, a lot of people lost their faith because they saw what was happening in the now. They saw all the things that was going on, and they were starting to lose faith because they saw, people losing their lives. They saw people, panicking and freaking out. They was hearing people on CNN, Fox News, NBC, ABC talking about, oh man, we're looking like we're about to head in a recession. It looks like people are losing their jobs. It looks like we may not be able to recover. See, they was seeing and hearing these things in the now, but they weren't seeing the light that God already had at the end of the crisis. Come on, somebody. See, sometimes we look at adjustments, we look at audibles as, when we have to call an audible, we look like we feel like we're in the crisis situation. When God has called an audible in our life, we look at it as, oh, it's a crisis situation. Why do we look at it as a crisis situation? We look at it as a crisis situation because it's something that is beyond our control. See, when we can't control something, we tend to look at it as it's a crisis situation. Like, oh, my life is no longer going to be this thing that I hoped it was. See, even though your life may not turn out the way you want it, just know that God painted the picture exactly how he wanted. Come on, somebody. See, I just want you to understand that this is life. I want you to understand that we all go through something in our life that throws us off balance for a little bit. But I just want you to understand that don't let it knock you off the bridge. See, sometimes, when you're going through something, you're going to stumble and you're going to fall. But don't let it keep you to where you've fallen off the bridge, or if you falling off your path, or if you just stay down and let people stomp on you. See, life is just going to continue to keep throwing you stuff. Even if you think you got to figure out, you don't. Because there's always going to be something that comes up in your life. And there's always going to be something where you're going to have to make that Audible. You're gonna have to make that adjustment. And so what you cannot do is be discouraged. What you cannot do is be in fear either. You cannot be afraid of where God is calling you to be. You cannot be afraid of the direction that God has wants you to go into now. See, a lot of us, and I mentioned this on my last session on what would you do, or not what would you do, but Know Your Worth Wednesday on my recent episode is, you cannot move forward if you keep looking backwards. See, some of y'all want to keep looking back at what you had. You want to keep looking back at, the people that you used to hang around. You want to keep looking at the job that you used to have. You want to keep, looking back at stuff that happened to you in the past on what you could have, should have, would have been. So you want to keep looking backwards, but in fact, that God wants you to keep moving forward. See, there are things that you're gonna have to leave behind if you want to keep moving forward in your life. See, once the change has been implemented, you have to go forward with the change in order for your life to be executed in the way that God wants it to be executed. See, you cannot always be stubborn, man. You can't always take things with you that you used to have. See, that's just part of life. You cannot always take stuff with you from the past because the past has already been written. See, once you make that adjustment, you got to trust that it's going to work. See, it's just like when, going back to the football example, right? If you're going to call an audible, you got to trust that everybody is in the right place or everybody is going to execute it the way you want it to be executed. See, sometimes we call in audibles, but we don't trust in what we call. See, if you're going to make a play, if you're going to call a play, you got to be able to trust that it works. You got to be go out and execute it. So you can write it all. You can have it written down. You can have all this great designs, all these great schemes on paper. But until you put it in the play, you got to trust that it works. And see, sometimes when quarterbacks call audibles, sometimes the coach can only see so much, right? Sometimes, the coach will come up with an initial play for the quarterback to run, right? But then the quarterback will see something else in the defense that the coach doesn't see. And so what am I trying to say? See, God, imagine, God being your quarterback. Imagine that, and you know what I'm saying? Like God is your quarterback. Right? Sometimes he may see stuff that you don't see. See, you can be the coach. See, you the coach, but God is the quarterback, right? And what do I mean? So that kind of might be like, well, ain't the coach in charge of the quarterback? Well, see, that goes back to what I was talking about with Proverbs 16:9. See, when I was talking about how the heart of man plans his ways, but the Lord directs his steps. See, sometimes you can call out your plays, but God gonna call out your audibles. Come on, somebody. See, the coach may see something in the film. He might see something because the coach is not in the game. Understand? See, that's why I say God. That's why I say God is the quarterback and you are the coach. Because to some people that may be like, well, what do you mean? Ain't the coach the one in charge? But I'm talking about when it comes time to be on the field. See, sometimes you might have a play that you might call, but then God will, take charge on the field. See, the coach is usually on the side. See, the coach is a distance away from the field. See, he can't see everything that necessarily goes on. He can only kind of see what he initially sees. But when the quarterback is playing, see, sometimes the defense might make a shift in front of his eyes. See, the quarterback has a better look at the defense than the coach. Because the coach usually sometimes they on the sideline or even like in the when you watch like the NFL, college NFL football, usually sometimes the coaches that calling the plays are in the box. So it's like they up top, right? They in the box. They really ain't on the field with you. But the quarterback is the one that's on the field. See, God is the one that's on the field with you. See, sometimes, as a coach, you'll be the one that calls the plays. And you'll be like, okay, I'm calling this play because the defense is lined up in this. But sometimes, God will be the quarterback because he'll be able to see some stuff, some schemes that maybe he wants you to run so you can have an easier path to the end zone. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. See, God will be your quarterback because he wants to call the audible in your life to where you have a more easier time getting to the end zone versus getting stuffed every play if you try to call what you think is right. Come on, somebody. See, you just have to learn how to trust in that direction that God is taking you. And you have to be able to trust that the audible is going to work. Because sometimes, like I said before, sometimes when we try to lean on our own understanding, we tend to get lost and we tend to get stuffed at the goal line. You know what I'm saying? We tend to get stuffed. We needed one more yard to get to the end zone. We needed one more yard to get to our purpose. And sometimes when we decide to turn away from God and we try to be stubborn in our own ways, we tend to get stuffed on the 1 yard line. See, it's like, think of it as a fourth and goal. It's 3 seconds left. You need a touchdown, right, to win the game. And all of a sudden, you try to, stick with the play, not knowing what the defense is doing, and you just go ahead and run the play, not really looking at the defense and how they had switched to be able to stop you on that play. And then all of a sudden you run the play, you get stopped on the 1 yard, you get stopped short. And instead of winning the game, you end up losing the game. Because why? Because you didn't study your opponent on the field. You didn't study the opponent while it was in play. See, I know, in football, they do a lot of film. I remember when I played football, we watched film. We watched a lot of film. We was watching film for hours. We were looking at the different plays on the piece of paper. We was looking at formations, studying formations, trying to get prepared to play the game. But even in the game, when you're in the game of life, there's going to be stuff that shifts. See, sometimes you may have thought you prepared, but sometimes things will shift out of place, and you'll have to figure out, how am I going to be able to adjust for when life takes a shift in a different direction, right? And that's where you have to understand that God has got you, and to still continue to play in the game and to not get nervous. When things start to shift in different directions, just keep your eyes focused on your purpose. And see, that's what, separates people who get to the end zone and get to their purpose versus people who stay stuck at the goal line. See, the people who get to the end zone know that they're going to have to learn how to adjust. See, the people who stay stuck on the goal line are the ones who are stubborn and the ones who don't want to make that audible when stuff doesn't happen the way they want it. So that's why people stay stuck. People sometimes will be very, very close to getting into the end zone, but they don't want to change up anything. They want to continue to keep running the same doggone plays until they finally get to where they want to be. But sometimes when you keep doing the same thing over and over, you keep relying on the same thing that doesn't work, it's not going to work. Because what's going to happen is the defense, which is life, sometimes life will play defense on you, and it will keep stopping you because it knows where you're going. See, sometimes when you make that adjustment on the fly, sometimes it will throw the defense off and it will allow you to get into the end zone. See, sometimes that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen in life, is that, you got to learn how to get past the defense. And how do you get past the defense? Trusting in God, having faith in God, but also not being afraid to run the play. See, the only way you know how to know that it executes properly is if you go put it into action. See, you can come up with it, you can study it, you can write it down, you can say it out loud, you can do all this stuff, but until you execute on the play, until you execute on what play God has for you, and you learn how to trust in the play, then you won't ever get to see how it works, because you were scared to run the play because you didn't think in your own mind that it wasn't going to work. So my challenge for y'all, man, is when you get into a situation, call on God to call the plays. Call on God to be able to lead you to where you need to be. And don't stay in frustration. Don't be frustrated. Don't be stressed. Don't try to stretch yourself out. When life throws you into a situation that you may not be all the way ready for, that's where the faith comes in, because that's just what's going to happen. And so, whether it's, I don't know, whether maybe you might be, let's say like you working late. Let's say like you plan to get off work at 5, but your boss wants you to stay till 6, right? And you have plans to go home from work and be able to, go out with your friends, go out with your spouse or whatnot, spend time with your kids, but your boss, wanted you to stay late. See, that's where you have to, be able to, assess the situation, and also allow God to be able to help you make that decision. See, you have free will, you have the power to make any decision, but make sure that it's aligned with what God wants you to do, because everything that God wants you to do is for a purpose. And like I said, I'm attest to that, because I've been through many difficult situations in my life, and I would not be here today if I didn't learn how to trust in the power of God. And so, that's why, I speak on him a lot. And because, I really do think that, I'm here because of that. So, and, it's just crazy. Like, the difference that, with having God in your life makes versus somebody who doesn't, is because, for me, I that's why I can live, every day knowing what my purpose is. There's a lot of people out here who, deal with a lot of different things, who get hit with life and can never get back up. There's folks out here who, unfortunately, you know, end up getting so overwhelmed by life that they want to take their life. They want to cut their life short because of, the pain that they endured in life, and it was just too much for them. So they wanted to, just go ahead and end it early, before even, allowing God to be able to discover their purpose. So that's why, it's, when I see what's going on out here, and I hear about young people taking their life, and I hear, you know, people like, people who my age, who's only 22 years old, already suffering from depression, or even younger people like in high school, middle school, when I hear cases about people suffering from anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, I just can't help but, be able to speak into, those people who might be dealing with those mental illnesses, because life happens to everybody. Life is going to play defense on everybody, no matter who you are. You could be the nicest person in the world, but that don't exempt you from, not being able to go through a challenge, right? You could, you can read your Bible, you can know your Bible inside out, you could, volunteer, be a good servant, be religious. You can be all these things. You can declare that you perfect. It don't matter, because life is going to hit everybody. No matter if you're rich, you can have all the money in the world and still have problems. You can be broke and still got problems, man. But life, it don't care who you are, what your status is. Life is going to hit everybody. And so that's why I encourage you guys to be able to learn how to adjust, and be able to learn how to trust in God, and trust that the direction that you're going is going to lead to a greater purpose, in life. That's why the verse Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says what it says, because you need to learn how to, trust in God and not lean on your own understanding. Understand? And just know that, you have the capability, and you have been called to do many great things out here, right? So don't let no man tell you otherwise. Don't let nobody else tell you that you're not fit for this world, or you're not fit for a position, or you're not fit to go where God has called you to be. So that's why I encourage you guys to really, really find your purpose through God. And I'm telling you, that's how I was able to find mine. And that's why I live my life, and I have so much passion, despite of things that happen in my life, because there's a lot of things that, you know, that come up in my life where I get frustrated. Don't get me wrong, I get frustrated, I get, you know, disappointed. You know, there's a lot of, you know, negative emotions I tend to feel, but I don't let those negative emotions grow on me, because I know that I have a purpose through God, and I have a purpose through, you know, just what God has called me to do. So that's why I can get on here with the energy that I got, and I can, you know, be able to walk through my life with the energy that I have. And so I just want you to understand that you have a purpose. If you are still here, look at it as a blessing. You know, look at it as an opportunity for you to be able to change, you know, your life and turn your life around, and be able to make, you know, be able to continue to keep moving forward despite of everything that happened to you in the past, despite of, you know, the people telling you this, people telling you that. See, just continue to keep living, man, and continue to, you know, just be able to continue to step towards your purpose. As I always say, step towards your purpose, man, because this is what 2022, you know, for those of you who probably don't have, you know, a model for 2022, you know, you can use that. You know, just step towards your purpose, man. Be able to find your purpose. Ask, and it shall be given to you, right? If you ask, it shall be given to you. So just remember that, man, as you continue to keep going through life, man, and just continue to keep fighting, and continue to keep, you know, pressing on. Keep pressing on, man. And, you know, just continue to stay encouraged. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, man, that's all I got for y'all today. That's the encouraging word for y'all today. Um, so as I, you know, come to a close, I just, you know, I want to make this announcement that, you know, I was very honored to be invited to be featured on the Life, Love, and Pursuit of Happiness podcast hosted by Denise Taylor. So if you haven't heard of who she is, if you haven't heard of what she does, go check this sister out. You know, her podcast is on Spotify, and I think it's also on Apple Podcasts. So definitely go check out her episodes. It's called the Life, Love, and Pursuit of Happiness podcast. I will be on there. I will be on there on January 8th. So we will do the recording on January 8th, and the episode. And she told me that the episode will air in sometime in February. So I will definitely keep y'all updated. I will definitely post that on my Instagram page. Very honored to be able to be on another person's podcast, you know. So I'm very excited, you know, very just honored to be able to have the opportunity, because I know that I'm going places in 2022. I'm going places, man. And you know, and I'm really looking forward to working with her, you know. And I know that we were talking about also hosting an event, you know, a summer event, you know, closer to back to school for all the youth that you know, are going back to school, and, you know, just trying to give them some encouraging words, you know, encouraging words to, you know, be able to help take back with them when they go to school. I know that's a ways away, but hopefully, you know, God will allow us to execute that plan, and, you know, be able to put it into full tuition. So you know, I'll definitely let y'all know more details on that. But that's what, you know, we got planning for this new year. I'm also just planning on trying to get out, get involved in the community as I can. You know, being able to, you know, be able to, you know, reach especially the youth, man. Reach especially the youth that you know, is coming up, man. Because I know that, man, like with social media now, I know a lot of, you know, people in my generation, and even like, you know, the generation that's coming up, you know, it's becoming a lot harder and harder for people to discover who they really are, because they try to look for other people to, you know, find that out. But I just, you know, want to just encourage y'all that, you know, your purpose does not come from somebody else. Nobody can give you purpose. Nobody can tell you who you were called to be, because they didn't create you. Understand? You weren't created by another human. I mean, you know, your mama had you in labor, but another Bible verse that, you know, I reference is, you know, talking in Jeremiah, in the book of Jeremiah, it says, you know, God is saying, before you were in the womb, he knew who you were. He knows Your name. Come on, somebody. So just remember that. So don't let nobody try to tell you who you are. Don't try to, look at somebody on Instagram and think that they are that and you ain't nothing. Just remember that you are worth something. You are worth something. You have value. So just remember that. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do, man. As you can see, I'm very passionate about what I'm doing, very passionate about trying to reach the youth and stuff like that. So yeah, but definitely go check me out on Instagram at Disinfecting Your Life. That's no spaces, no capitals. Once again, check me out on Instagram at Disinfecting Your Life, no spaces, no capitals. Follow me on Twitter as well at Disin Your Life, at DISN Your Life and the number one. So again, on Twitter, that's at DISN Your Life One. And then also check me out on Facebook. Follow me on Facebook at Disinfect Your Life to get all the latest and greatest in terms of what's going on. Definitely go get your copy of my book, Step Towards Your Purpose. I know that teachers, students, anybody in general, parents, children, babies, CEO, whatever, just anybody, just anybody and everybody, go get a copy of my book, Step Towards Your Purpose. Is out there on Amazon. Definitely go check that out. Somebody needs to read that, man. I'm telling you, man, it's got great motivational information there. So definitely go check that out, man. And also don't forget, copy some of these sweatshirts, Step Towards Your Purpose, hoodies. I got hoodies, shirts, and hats on there as well. So definitely go check all that out. All the information is on my Instagram. So definitely follow me, keep up with me, do all that great stuff. But anyway, man, this is your boy, Chris Simmons, coming to you with another podcast episode, man. And I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Take care. Peace.